The Mysterious Technique of the Cat, by Issai Chozanshi. There was once a samurai, who went by the name of Shoken. There came a day when a large rat appeared in his home. This bothersome rat would not leave, and it became so brave that it took to roaming around the house, even in broad daylight. But in time, Shoken managed to trap the rat in a room, so that he could set his cat loose upon it. But as the cat entered the room, the rat hurled itself at the cat's face, and sank its teeth into it. The cat let out a pitiful scream and ran away. Realizing that this was now a tremendous task, Shoken went around the village and borrowed a large number of cats that had made names for themselves as the best of their kind. He chased them into the room where the rat was making its nest in the corner of the alcove, but when one of the cats approached, the rat once again attacked and sank its teeth into it. When the other cats saw this frightful situation, they all fled in fear. An outraged Shoken tried to kill the rat with a wooden sword that he carried at his side. But the rat would always avoid being struck. Despite the destruction of all the sliding doors and furniture, the rat would escape into the center of the room, always moving with the speed of thought. Eventually, the rat was going to leap at Shoken's face and injure him as well. Shoken thought, "I have heard that not far from here, there is an old cat that is a first-rate catcher, unequaled in skill. Perhaps I should borrow this cat." The cat was brought in, but it didn't appear to be particularly clever or very active. Still, Shoken opened the door just a little, and placed the cat inside. Surprisingly, the rat cowered right where it was, unable to move. The cat walked over in a leisurely fashion and dragged the rat away as though it were nothing at all. That night, all the other cats gathered at the house, and invited the old cat to take the most honored seat among them. All bowed before him. They said, "We are all called first-rate cats. We have disciplined ourselves in our way, sharpening our claws to crush even weasels and otters. Not to mention rats. Until now, we have never encountered a rat as strong as this. Yet, you overcame him easily, perhaps by some personal techniques. Please impart your mysterious techniques with us, and hold nothing back." The old cat laughed, "All you young cats work with considerable skill, but you haven't heard about the method of the correct way. And so, you have met a situation contrary to your expectations, and have come to grief. Nevertheless, I would first like to hear about how each of you have trained." An agile black cat stepped up from the midst of the group. He said, "I was born into a house of mousers, and have exerted myself in that way. I leapt over 7-foot screens and squeezed myself through tiny holes. From the time that I was a kitten, there was no clever or nimble trick I could not do. Whether it was the strategy of pretending to be asleep or suddenly exploding in a blaze of energy, I never faltered, even with rats that ran along the rafters and beams. But today I encountered a rat stronger than I could have imagined, and I received the beating of a lifetime. This was something I never expected." The old cat replied, "I understand. Your discipline is only a performance of skill. And so, you still haven't escaped from the mind that aims at something. The old teachers taught performance in order to inform others of the way. Such performances were simple, and they contained a profound principle within them. In these later times, performances of skill are considered specializations. Various details are concocted. Dexterity is inordinately refined. The ancient sayings are considered insufficient. And the practitioner uses his own wit and contrivances. In the end, it all comes down to a contest of performance skills. Dexterity consumes itself. And for what? Those who practice refining the dexterity of men of little character, and those who specialize in wit and contrivances are all like this. While it is true that wit may be used by the mind, it is not based in the way. When one specializes solely in dexterity, he is at the edge of make-believe, and contrary to what you might think, there are many instances of wit and contrivances becoming nothing but drawbacks. You should reflect on such matters, and make great efforts. A large brindled cat came forward and answered. To my way of thinking, we respect the chi of martial arts. Therefore, I have disciplined my chi over a long period of time. Now, that chi is serene and exceedingly strong, and would seem to fill both heaven and earth. I trample my opponent underfoot, by first defeating him, and then advancing. Following the voice, responding to the echo, I control the rat and there is nothing I cannot answer to. I have no thoughts or intentions for using a performance of skill, and my performance flows out on its own. I can just stare at a rat running along the rafters so that it falls off and is taken. Nevertheless, today's strong rat has no form when it comes, and leaves no traces when it goes. What is this thing? The old cat said, your training can only function by depending on the power of chi. You are still depending on yourself. And this is not the highest good. If you are going out to defeat your opponent, he may also be coming out to defeat you as well. And what about when defeat turns into no defeat at all? You may disguise your intentions to crush your opponent, but your opponent may do the same. And what about when a disguise turns into no disguise at all? How can it be that only you will be strong, and all your opponents be weak? Thinking that your chi is serene, exceedingly strong, and filling heaven and earth, is all just considering its form. It resembles Mencius's vast and expansive chi, but in fact it is not. Mencius's chi depends on complete clarity, so it is strong and sturdy. Yours is strong and sturdy because it depends on power. Thus, their functions are not the same. They are as different as the eternal flow of the Yellow River, and the force of an overnight flood. Moreover, when someone will not yield to the energy of your chi, what then? There are occasions when a cornered rat will bite a cat, contrary to expectations. Pressed with certain death, there is nothing for it to fall back on. It forgets about life, forgets about its desires, does not consider victory or loss as inevitable, and has no thoughts of preserving its own skin. Thus, its resolve is like iron. How could you defeat an opponent like this? With only the force of chi. A middle-aged gray cat came forward and said, the chi of which you speak is fully active, but has a form. Things that have a form may be indistinct, but can be seen. I have disciplined my mind for a long time. I do not develop force. Nor do I contend with things. I am in harmony with others, and run counter to nothing. When someone attempts to be tough with me, I meet him with harmony and so become his companion. My technique is like catching pebbles with a large curtain. Though you may speak of a cornered rat, there is nothing to fall back on to contend with me. Nevertheless, today's rat could neither be overcome with force nor met with harmony, both coming and going. He was like a god. I have never witnessed anything like him. Until today. The old cat replied, your harmony is not natural harmony. You think, and so create harmony. Though you intend to avoid your opponent's sharp spirit, you still retain a small bit of intention, so your opponent sees through your tactic. If you attempt to reach harmony by inserting your mind, your chi will be corrupted and you will be approaching negligence. When you think, and then do something, you obstruct your natural perception. And if you obstruct natural perception, how can the mysterious function be given life from anywhere? Simply without thinking, without doing anything, move by following your natural perception and your movement will have no form. And when you have no form, there is nothing in heaven and earth that could be your opponent. That said, each of your disciplines are not without value. The meaning of the phrase, form and spirit are consistent, is that the highest principle is contained within a performance of technique. Qi is what generates function throughout the body. When that qi is serene and everywhere, response to things will be boundless, and when you are in harmony, there will be no contending with strength. Though you are struck with metal and rock, you will not be crushed. Nevertheless, even the smallest thoughts will all become conscious intentions. This is not the spontaneity of the way. Thus, when you face off with another, if your mind has not been subdued, the mentality of opposition will exist. What technique will you use then? No mind, and responding naturally is the only answer. Still, the way is not limited, and you should not think that what I say is the ultimate. Long ago, there was a cat in my neighborhood that slept all day and had no vitality at all. It was like a cat made out of wood. People never saw it catch rats. But wherever the cat was, there were no rats in the vicinity. And this was true even if it changed locations. I asked why this was so, but it gave me no answer. Though I asked it 4 times, still 4 times it did not answer. It was not that it could not answer, but that it didn't know what to say. This is an example of, those who know don't speak, while those who speak don't know. That cat had even forgotten that it had forgotten itself and had returned to a state of nothingness. The very spirit of the martial, it killed nothing. I am far and away unable even to approach that cat.